All right guys, today we got a 2003 Ford Mustang with a 4.6 liter in it. It's been in another shop for a while. Evidently they can't communicate with the ABS and couldn't get it figured out, and it's got a draw on it. We got to get it fixed. Let's get into it. One of the problems that it had was the window didn't work, so Eric checked that out for us. He got the door panel off of it and tested power and ground to the window motor, and it swapped back and forth when he did, went one way and the other, up and down. So we know it needs a window motor in it, but I'm going to get into the analog brake and the draw part of it, and we're actually not pulling it into the regular shop today. Right before the new year here, we're about to pull it into our new bay. A lot of exciting things are going to happen in here, we hope, over the next probably 12 months. We've kind of already touched on it with you guys a little bit, what we're planning on doing in here. So this is our very first time pulling in here. The concrete just got hard enough to where we could drive on it on the ramp coming in, and the door got put in a few weeks ago. So we're super excited. When I pulled it in, did notice that, I'll go ahead and show you. ABS light. I got the brake on, that's all. So the ABS light is on. Only light that's on in the vehicle when I pulled it in. And it did start up. It started right up with no issue at all. And my understanding is we haven't had an issue starting it up yet. So I don't know about the draw. I don't know if it's an intermittent thing. They said it takes about 7 days for it to go to where it won't start. It has, this has come basically from another shop, and a lot of times when we get these in here, they do take, we sometimes can't jump right on them. So we fit them into the schedule when I can look at it. And I think this one's been here. It has definitely sat longer than 7 days with no issues. But what we're going to do is we're going to hook we've got the new Power Probe draw tester set up. We'll get that hooked up to it, and let's just see if it's got a draw on it. But first I want to find out what's going on with this ABS. So let's get into that. All right, here we go. Get a little bit of push on in there. Open that one up, bud.
Why do you got a car in here? Why do you got a car in here?
Because we're going to be working on it. All right, we're going to figure out a way to hold these open. Micah, go get your brother. Tell him come on. All right, you're going to have to watch those curves and stuff. You ready? All right. Go ahead. I'm gonna put it on that wall. Are you pushing that, or is it just rolling? There we go. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Micah. All right, got the temporary home for the toolbox all set up. We're set up on the car. I've got the scanner hooked up. I have scanned it, and we see that we do not have any communication with the ABS module. We do with everything else. If we go into the cluster, you see that we've got a little bit of, some codes in there just for oil pressure and stuff. We'll get into those if we have to. Battery voltage low for sure. And then the SCP data link fault, we'll take a look at that if that's something we need to. So before we go down any kind of path with that though, we just want to do basic checks on the ABS module. We've got no communication to it. What do we need to have communication? Power, ground, and the communication lines, whatever those are on this particular vehicle. So let's jump into a wiring diagram. Let's look and see what we've got to, what we're dealing with as far as wiring going to that module. All right, so what we're looking at is we see that we've got a power feed coming in here from a 15 amp fuse that's in the junction box. It looks like it says central junction box behind the dash, left side of steering column, so that's going to be the interior fuse box. We've got, looks like another power feed coming in, same fuse box. So we're definitely going to check out these two fuses. And then let's see if we see anything else. All right, that's going to be our, we got some other power feeds, but it looks like they go, all right, looks like they go over here to our traction control switch. Let's see what else we got. We do have some other, oh, we do have more fuses. Okay, so again, we come here and we see this junction box and we follow. We've got that one and this one. So this thing has quite a few powers going to it. Let's see what if we have anything else. All right, we have our ground, two of those. That's the right front of engine compartment, left front of engine compartment. So that's our powers and our grounds. Wheel speed sensors up there, traction control switch, instrument cluster, and then there. These are the communication lines. So let's go ahead and jump. Easiest thing to get to, I like to go easiest first, is going to be these two fuses right here, because those look like they are on the left side of the engine compartment. And so that's going to be somewhere on the interior, or on the engine compartment fuse box. Fuse number 8, fuse number 17. Let's do that. I don't think I even have a way to test power over here other than a scope. Maybe though, yes I do. What a mess. What an absolute mess. All right. 8 and 17. You guys are going to see it way better than I'm going to see it. Eight maxi fuse and 17. So we're going to take that and lay it like that. What was 8 again? 12, 11, 10. So 12, 11, 10, 9, 8. Okay. All right, that one's good. 17. So this 20 amp. And that's good. All right, so those are good. Let's go to the interior fuse box now. And that is fuse 35, which is a 15 and 29. 35 and 29, and they're both 15 amp. 35 and 29, both 15 amp. Hey, Micah, can you hold the door open for me? Just hold it just right there for me. Thank you. Yeah, we'll see if we can't get this seat back some. Doing something I wouldn't normally do. I'm gonna go ahead. All I'm doing is checking for fuse power though. 35. 35. 29. And of course, they numbered up here. I don't think I have good ground. That's why I like using the battery ground. All right, that's 29. Let me say 35. 34, 35. Okay. Uh-oh. Is that 35? That is 35. I did say 35, right? Okay. There's an issue right there. 35 doesn't have power on either side of it. That good? That fuse, the test light's working. Make sure I'm getting good contact in there.
Papa, who would take all this stuff off?
We took it off, buddy. We're checking the power window. All right, well, here's an issue right there. Our fuse, 35, I'm pretty sure I'm looking at it right, does not have power on either side of it. So it's not blown, it just doesn't have power on either side of it. Kind of unusual on these cars. So we're going to go a little workaround on that. I'm going to get a power probe and I'm going to put power on that fuse because we have power on all the other fuses. I'm going to put power on that fuse and let's see if the analog brake module starts communicating. That'll tell us right away, and then we'll just have to figure out what's powering that fuse. So let me get a power probe because I don't have one over here. I'm on one side of the fuse 35 fuse. I'm on one leg of it. I don't know which side I'm on. I'm just going to put power to it, and then we're going to try to go into the. So we see we got power to it now. I'm going to go to the ABS module and just see if we have communication, which we do not. All right, so we're all right there. Okay, so we've got a couple things going on here. Pause that. One is, we don't have power on that fuse. When I went over to the wiring diagram, looked at it again, it said not for 4.6 liter supercharged, if I remember right. And so this one is not supercharged. Yeah, this is not supercharged. So I think the best thing to do here is, because we put power on that fuse and it didn't change anything. We still don't have communication with the module. So we've got an issue with the fuse, assuming that that fuse was, I mean, other people have worked on this thing. It should have that fuse in it, then that fuse should have power going to the module. All right, let me not go down a rabbit hole. I'm gonna go ahead and just get to the module. Let's check our powers and grounds, because here's the deal. At the end of the day, if we have powers and grounds at the module, and we went and disconnected that module from the whole car, put powers and grounds to it, and went into our communication network, we should be able to talk to that module. So I'm just gonna go straight to the module. It's fairly easy to get to. It's right here. So we're going to disconnect this connector right here. We're going to access, I'm going to get to the, pull this cover off, get to the back of this, then plug it back. Well, I'm going to plug it, first thing I'm going to do is just check my powers and grounds, load test those, make sure those are good. We'll test the communication network to it, make sure those are working. Then we'll plug it back in and we'll kind of, run through the same powers and stuff. What we're looking for really at this point is, I'm looking for whatever circuit comes from that fuse to not have power here. And that's kind of where we're going to have to start is, having power there from that fuse. So let me get access to this. Got the connector loose from the ABS module and I was checking the pin out. So I pulled up the connector view and a lot of you have already seen this. When I was going through the connector view, I jumped back over to the wiring diagram to look at my fuse layout. And sure enough, this is why you have to be real careful when you're looking at a wiring diagram so you don't make the same mistake that I just did. You come back over here and do this thing so you guys can see what I'm talking about. If I can get this to work. Why aren't you working? Okay, anyway. This fuse that we were looking at right here only gets power to it when the brake light switch is depressed. So that's my bad. That's 100%. At least I didn't go too far down the rabbit hole. I'm going to I'm already at the module now, so which is where we're going to end up anyway. Glad I didn't go crazy down the rabbit hole of that one, which the next step would have been to find out where the fuse gets power from. Duh, should have already seen that. I'm going to go ahead and this is how I'm going to do this. I've got the load box set up. I've got all the switches on. This is the smaller load box from Joe's Auto Electric. This is 1.5 amps with all of them on, which should get plenty for me. And I know that by looking at that pinout, we see that we've got one of our grounds is right here. So I'm going to go ahead and take that and get my one side of the jump box or the load box hooked up to that. And then we're going to get in. And what I want to do now is get a meter. When we hit the brake pedal in here, I'll be at the connector. I'll check the fuse all the way up to here. I'm already here. So that was just a very bad oversight on my part to not be paying attention to that and looking where that power came from. And I should have seen that. I mean, it's quite obvious on there, but it happens to us, and sometimes it can cost us some time. In this case, it didn't cost us any time. All right, so here's what I've got now set up. I've got the load box. I've got the meter hooked up. You guys have seen this. I've done this before in some videos. I've got the meter hooked up to one of the legs of the load box so I can check the voltage. So we should not have much of a voltage drop on here. And across the battery, if we went across the battery, we would see that, in other words, if we took and tested that real quick, turn all our load off, and just go across the battery, we've got 13.5 volts. That's because we have a maintainer on it. If we turn all of our loads on, we're now going to be testing that ground. We go to our battery, and we still have minimal voltage drop. So now we know that ground is good because I tested it through the box, through the load box, to the battery, positive. So we know that ground is good. Let's go ahead and keep these from getting too confusing here. Back into our connector here. So that's our ground 12. We just checked that. Let's check our ground 15. So 12, 13, 14, 15. So we're going to jump over here to our connector 12, 13, 14, 15. So that's another ground. Let's take our other lead here to our positive. And here's our meter. Oops, turn them all on. Here's our meter. Again, no voltage drop. I mean, 13.52 to 13.48. We're perfectly good. So grounds are good, not an issue. Now let's start testing our powers. And we're definitely going to have to get in there to test hit the brake pedal. So we do have power on that fuse, like we're supposed to. All right, So that's going to be our hot with brake pedal engaged is right here. Right here. So why don't we go ahead and do that one first just to eliminate that. Let's go over here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we come over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Looks like 6 right here. I think that's right anyway. So how we're going to do this is we're going to take, it's a different size pin. All right, let's get a different connector pin for that. Changed it up just a little bit just so I wouldn't get confused. So I took the load box and I took the green lead from the load box and just permanently attached it to the ground of the battery. All we're going to be checking now is powers. Both our grounds are good. So I'm just going to leave that permanently attached to the ground of the battery. I've got the yellow lead from our load box going to this, little pin out here so I can just get into the terminals. I've got our red lead from our meter, again, still connected here. And that's just going to be for checking our voltage. And again, I've got all of our switches on. And I've got Micah in the car so that he can hit the brake pedal for us when we need it to be hit. We're going into pin 6 on our connector. So that's going to be our light green next to our yellow black. So we're just going to grab that one real quick And this is the one, so this is the circuit that I messed up on, that I said didn't have power on it, and only gets power on it with the brake pedal depressed. So let's go ahead and get it first. Go ahead, Mike, and hit the brakes. We should see the lights come on. Lights all come on, and we've got 11.42, so not much of a voltage drop at all. We're good, and that's going through a switch too. So you're good, Mike. I let off. All right, so that power is good. Let's go in. Let's check the rest of them. So we're gonna go back and forth here. So we got, should be pin 8 will have power to it, and then pin 13 and pin 14. Pin 8, 13, and 14. Back over here, we've got pin 8. We've got pin 13 and 14. All right, so let's go ahead and check that. So if this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's got power to it all the time, which is, let's make sure actually. It's got power to it now, so we should be fine. It's hot and run. That's pin 8, so we're good there. The other two will have hot power all the time. I'm just curious. I just want to see if they have power now. I don't care about all the time because they're going to be good. So let's go to 13 and 14. So this is 12. This is 13. We have power. Our voltage drop is good. 14, power. Our voltage drop is good again. Yeah, so our voltage and our voltage drop is good. A little bit more on 8 than it was on anything else. We're at 13.25. The rest of them we're sitting about 13.44. I'm not really concerned about 13.25. That's still well within spec. And number 8, that's a 50 amp. Oh no, I'm sorry. 8 comes from up. It's going to be going through hot and run, so it's going through the ignition switch. So we're good. Our powers and our grounds are good. That was a long, drawn-out way of doing that. Unfortunately, it's usually a lot quicker than that. But we know that those are good. Now we've got to get into our communication lines to see is the network actually functional at the module itself. So we're going to jump on the scope now and get into those two lines and see what we've got. Scope's hooked up. I'm on the ground. On the battery, of course. I've got my red channel and yellow channel ready to go into the connector. I'm looking on here, so here are the 2 pins that I want for the connector. I want 29 and 30 right here, and that's going to be right here and right there, which are basically the opposite corner from where we were originally. So let's go ahead and get the scope on the screen. Whoops. Here we go. Let's go. I want to get the meter pulled up so that I know I'm connected into them. And then these are going to be our 2 circuits. Very large wires for a communication network. Of course, this is a 2003, so definitely not that big anymore. We're going to get into those 2. And okay, we're in. Look on the scope. You can see that we are connected. And then let's go ahead and just do I'm just going to do a fast capture here real fast here. Let's see what we got. All right, so let's zoom in on that. And let's go ahead and turn the yellow off real quick. All right, we see we're going from 5 volts. Let me get my glasses on. From 5 volts here, and that signal is getting pulled down to roughly about a 0.5 volt right there. So that's our yellow. Let's turn yellow off. Tank has heard something that she don't like.
Your wife's here.
Oh.
I was making faces at her.
And then we are on this circuit. We have got 4.5 volts, and we're going from ground. So those are good. There's no issue there. Let me go ahead. I just want to go ahead and zoom out to full again. Let's just kind of, I want to separate them real fast now that I've seen what I want to see. And then I'm just going to zoom in again here and just kind of make sure that we don't see anything really unusual, which we do not. Everything looks really clean, really good there. The scale is going to be wrong now, so don't look at any of this now, because now that I've moved them away from each other, that's going to be incorrect. This one is correct, but this one is not. The top one's not. So, but we can see that they look good. Everything is clean. We don't see any weirdness going on there. So we got a good communication network. Okay, so we know all that's good with it disconnected. What we need to do now is connect it. Now we know the powers and grounds are good. So we're not gonna, if something happens to a power and ground, we hook it up, we don't even need to check that, because then we know the module is causing it. I do want to see the network. I just want to make sure that it stays good with it connected. Again, right now it's working fine. So if we connect it and it goes away, then it's going to be the module that we think is going to be the problem. But let's connect it just out of curiosity. Let's connect it and see what we have there for communication. We're into the two, so we've got the module connected back up, and we're into the two network lines, network circuits at the module with everything connected. So now let's jump back in to the scope. Let's go ahead and hit that fast capture again. And then we're good. Let's see what we got. Looks like we have the same thing. Let's just double check everything. So we've got the same here, looks like. Let's turn the yellow off. And it looks like we've got the same there. And honestly, everything looks exactly the same as it did before. Let's go ahead and go turn the yellow back on. Separate them. Zoom. Yep. We got everything at the module we need. We got power, we've got ground, we've got communication network. And I mean, that just proves out that at this point we should be able to communicate with it, and we can't. So this thing's going to need a module in it. While we were waiting to see if we could get parts for this, I went ahead and hooked up the PowerPro draw monitor tool to it. First time we've hooked it up, and it's working pretty good. I did make a mistake, and I disconnected. Well, I hooked this up, then I disconnected the battery, and I didn't read the instructions. I should have hit the smart output first, and then it would have turned it. It would have kind of kept the car alive. So we had to wait for a little while. This thing took a little while to go to sleep, but you can see it's putting out 12.2 volts, and we're at 11 milliamp draw, and that's well within spec. Anything under 50 milliamp. I was able to hook it up to my phone, so you can see it puts a little graph. So this is, I was kind of working with my toolbox and stuff like that and getting organized, and I just had this sitting there. So it really worked really well. We've proved this thing doesn't have a draw on it. Maybe it intermittently does have a draw. I don't know, but.
Oh, they didn't see you put your new toolbox in here. That's the other thing we were doing.
Oh yeah, we were putting the new toolbox in here. So, well, not the new toolbox. We were bringing the toolbox over from St. Mary's over here, and yeah, it's been that was really tough. So. So while we were doing all that and doing this, we did find out that ABS pump, this is the Monday before New Year's, and that ABS pump is not available, or that ABS unit is not available. We're going to get a used one, and we won't have it until next week. So we're going to end the video here. We know what's wrong with it. We know we're going to put that in there. We don't know if it's going to be anything on the other side of that once we get that put in. Do we have any other issues with the ABS or not? But if you'd like to see us get that pump, get that assembly and get it put in and do what we have to do to get it to work, and also even put the window motor and watch me install the window motor. If you want to see that, just leave a comment down below, and we'll definitely do a video on it if that's what you guys want to see. So, but that's going to be the end of this one. Hope you guys liked it. If you did, hit that thumbs up, give me a subscribe button, bell notification, comment. You know what to do. Appreciate you watching. See you in the next one.